Okay,
Thanks for being with us.
thank you, and welcome to the first in our four-part series of what your doctor wasn't taught about nutrition, but you need to know. So, who are we, and why should you believe a word we say? Well, uh, we have been successfully navigating physically disabling chronic illness for 2 and 3 decades. And we still are. We're here to share our experiences, and we hope that that will help others. We're going to share as authentically as we can. If you're not severely ill, why would that matter? Well, if you're a human being, then and you're lucky enough, fortunate enough to live long enough, you're eventually going to run into an illness, a disease, old age, or God forbid, some kind of a injury or trauma, and you'll end up bedbound. Well, we know what it's like to be bedbound, and bedbound for 22 hours a day. And so we have been successfully navigating back from that. And the fact that we're here today says that we've learned a thing or two over the years. So that's what we're here to do, is to share our experience about nutrition and the importance of nutrition. We love our doctors, and we'll get into that. This is not a hit on the doctors. But it's kind of like if you wanted to learn how to birth a baby,
Okay.
Is it Prissy? What's Prissy say? Prissy from Gone with the Wind. I don't know nothing about birthing no babies. But if you wanted to learn how to birth a baby, you could go to a class. You could get all the facts and the knowledge, probably taught by a man. And you could go to a woman who's had children, and you could talk to her about her experience. So I'm not saying you should do, one is better than the other. Yes, educate yourself. Yes, read a book, go to a class, you learn what you need to learn about nutrition, but also listen to people who have experience with it. And that's really going to be the best bet. So we're here to share that. Why should you believe a word I say?
Why?
Well, you shouldn't. I wouldn't if I didn't know me. I'm just a guy on the internet. Why would you believe a word I say? I don't ask you to believe what I say. I ask you to look it up. I ask you to research. Do your own due diligence, okay? We'll speak authentically from what's true for us, what works for us. People ask, well, how do you cope with your illness? What do you do? What do you use? Well, we'll get into some of those things here in this 4-part series. If I get something wrong, we're not professional speakers. If I get something wrong, a kind little correction in the comments below would be greatly appreciated. Haters, I'm going to block you. I'm not playing. I'll block you. Okay. This webinar is a free webinar. It's designed to inform and to educate, to guide, to share our experiences. It's not a commercial where no transaction is expected at the end of it. We're really here to share what we've learned and hope that it resonates with you. So thank you to all those who registered and are attending. If you registered, you will be able to comment and question in the chat box, and we will respond. If you are listening on Facebook, we're live streaming on Facebook. We won't be able to comment there,
Right.
because we have four hands, and between the two of us, almost a full brain, almost. So we won't be commenting there. That's the advantage of registering. But if you're watching a replay of this, because we are recording it, thank you for finding us. And there will be links at the end of the webinar where you can contact us with questions and comments. One final technical note, we're using a software called Zoom for video conferencing, and we're doing a webinar over Zoom and streaming it to Facebook and recording it. Sounds like a lot, but we're not really, we just hit a button, so
Yeah.
Zoom is like when I was a kid, it was a children's show, Zoom, like Sesame Street, but it was Zoom. That was the first time I saw Morgan Freeman on television, actually. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, but we're using Zoom. So let's get started.
One other thing I would just like to address real quickly is Jeff has really addressed the issue of people that have chronic illness. So what if you're just like 22, really strong, healthy, etc.? What are we going to help? How can we help you? Just know that if you are strong and healthy, this information is for you also, to keep you strong and healthy. I sure wish I'd known it a long time ago.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is for everybody, and if you're elderly, this is for you. If you're young and strong and healthy, this is for you. And if you're already having some chronic illnesses, this is for you. So we dedicate it to you all, every one of you.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's go right into the presentation right here. Okay, what your doctor wasn't taught in med school about nutrition that you need to know. This is a 4-part series where you will learn, number one, what a doctor discovered that took him from supplement skeptic to a super supporter. We're going to cover the core nutrients that he used to heal his chronically ill wife and what he now recommends to everyone. Let me be clear that we're not advocating any cures. This is not medical advice that we're giving. What we're going to do is talk about what's possible and certainly what this particular doctor experienced. And number 3, what to look for in a supplement and the products that we recommend. So today's first session, we'll cover why physicians are disease and drug-oriented, why you may not want to rely on your doctor alone for nutritional guidance. We put a lot on our doctors and we kind of expect them to know everything. But as we'll talk about in a minute, there's very good reason why they might not be up to speed on all of the nutritional knowledge and information that you as a patient should be up on. We're going to tell you the story of a remarkable health turnaround and what she used to heal, and the shocking stats that helped to convert this supplement skeptic doctor to a believer. Stay to the end of the webinar. We will provide a link to download our free ebook. This is chock full of a lot of information that I'll probably forget to say over the course of this 1-hour webinar. But that's a gift for you for sticking it out with us to the end.
Also, you can use it to jot down questions and notes, and maybe things that you learned you took away from the webinar. And I would also encourage you to kind of use it as a study guide as you go forth looking for your own answers.
Absolutely. We go into a lot more detail in the ebook itself. All right. Physicians are disease-oriented. We love our doctors. And as helpful, we wouldn't be here without some of the specialists that we've seen. But as important and as helpful as physicians are, the full truth is that they're disease-oriented. We talk about a healthcare system in America, but what we really have is a disease care system. And doctors are a big part of that. They study disease, and that's what they look for. And oftentimes you only see them when you have a disease or been diagnosed with a disease. They have tools in their toolbox which are pharmaceutically based. They're pharmaceutically trained to treat disease. So in order to do so, they know their drugs. They'll learn the side effects of drugs. They work carefully to balance the benefits against any potential danger. Physicians know their drugs, and they won't hesitate to prescribe them. Again, these are their tools. A study estimated in 1997 that pharmacies filled more than 2.5 billion retail prescriptions in the United States alone. And the sale of prescription drugs has more than doubled in just the past 8 years. So if doctors are disease-oriented and they're there to kind of fix a problem after it becomes known, who do you turn to when you want to protect your health? Well, if drugs were the answer, then why is our population experiencing such an epidemic of chronic degenerative diseases? The problem lies in the fact that the current philosophy in medicine is to attack disease. Yet it just makes common sense to simply prevent disease as best we can and maintain our health rather than try to regain it after it's lost. So prevention and disease should be the first order of business for any physician, but it's not. Just the reality in today's world, it's not. And this leaves you in a situation where, as we found out, we needed to become educated on how to build health and, in our case, mitigate disease. But in your case, become educated and on how to build health and avoid disease.
I would ask you to think of one question here, and that is, who is responsible for your health? Is it you, or me, myself, and I, or is it the doctors? It is basically our health. And I always have this little saying, it's like, if we don't take care of our bodies, where are we going to live?
Exactly. So because doctors weren't taught how to build health using natural nutrition, it means you have to learn it yourself. But where do you go when you want to learn about the best way to prevent disease and protect your health? Well, this is kind of the niche that we have found, and we see the need for people to learn these things that we know, learn the hard way, the school of hard knocks. Boy, wouldn't it be awesome if others didn't have to go through what we went through? So the question becomes, is your doctor providing you with this information? The truth is, less than 6% of doctors get formal training in nutrition. Anne can speak to this, being a former nurse.
Oh, yeah. And I have physicians in my family. My brother was a doctor. There's so much to learn in medical school. And I guess in a way it's almost like people took eating as just, well, that's not really important. That's something that people already know how to do. So they're not really teaching doctors or nurses for that matter how to really talk about the nutrients and the necessity of nutrients in food.
Right, exactly. And and few physicians receive training in regard to nutritional supplementation.
One thing I would ask you is if you or anybody you love has been in a hospital lately, okay, you might want to look what they're serving.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
And you thought airline food was bad.
and I say that not to knock anybody, but I say that to tell you that there are nutritionists and dietitians that are heading up the departments that prepare the food for people that are already very ill. So, it's just the knowledge is something that we have to be responsible for.
Until recently, modern medicine has simply ignored the link between diet and disease. Scientists focused on finding the magic bullets that would wipe disease off the planet. So there's no doubt that the incredible advancements in science have vastly improved our health, and we are thankful for living in today's world where some of these advancements, we're living and experiencing these advancements. Unfortunately, it's created a false sense of security that no matter how serious the disease, a cure could be found through drugs and medical intervention. If you ask most people, I think that's still kind of the modus operandi that they're going on. The assumption that most people make is, well, if I get sick, I'll go to the doctor and they'll know what to do. And whether it's prescribe something or have a surgery or a procedure or what have you, there's this false sense of security. Well, what do you do if you're diagnosed with, in our case, physically disabling chronic illness that has no cure, that has no FDA-approved treatment, that has very few treatment protocols or treatment modalities? What do you do when the doctor tries everything they know and it still doesn't meet that expectation, that kind of false expectation of, oh, well, we'll just cure this? What do you do? Well, and that's where we spent years not just learning about nutrition, but trying all kinds of different supplements and protocols and alternative treatments and whatnot.
One of the things that I always think of, and this is really the truth, it's that food is our fuel, and our body is doing things all the time. Like right now, as we're talking and using a computer and breathing and our hearts are beating, our body is using fuel all the time. And what is the fuel? The fuel is nutrition. It comes from the food or the some of the things that we're going to talk about later on. But you wouldn't expect a really, really great car. You go out and you buy this wonderful, shiny new car and you keep it all clean and beautiful and everything, but you wouldn't expect it to get a block down the road if you didn't have fuel in it. So if you will just kind of think about that, our bodies need fuel to keep us going down the road.
Yeah, exactly. Good.
The road of life.
By the end of World War II, people who were concerned about nutrition and health were considered to be health nuts, probably from California, those health nuts. Right up through the 50s, even into today, fast food restaurants offered highly processed, high-fat fare. This was all the rage. Hamburgers, nuggets, fries, these things were in, and still are in many, many places. Fresh fruits and vegetables were out, save for your piece of lettuce and your tomato on your burger. Diet was considered so unimportant that few medical schools even offered courses in nutrition. Although doctors offered lip service to eating a well-balanced diet, what's that?
Right.
Few understood what that actually meant. If you've ever watched old movies, you'll notice doctors were just as likely to engage in unhealthy habits, such as smoking cigarettes, as their patients. That's an actual ad. Anne's told me stories about when she was in the operating room. Was a doctor who had a cigarette with ashes that were, so the nurse would have to, deep, 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 so the ashes wouldn't fall into the patient.
True.
But at the same time, despite our superior medical knowledge, heart disease and cancer were dramatically increasing in the developed world. A small group of researchers began to wonder why. What they found was that people who lived in poorer countries where the diet was rich in whole grains and unprocessed fruits and vegetables had measurably lower rates of cancer and heart disease than in the wealthier countries. Now, in the beginning, many mainstream scientists dismissed these findings as pure coincidence, or that some populations may be genetically prone to develop different diseases. But when more thoughtful scientists began to take a closer look at these studies, what they found was that certain foods appeared to be protective against disease. There was no denying that people who ate an abundance of plant foods were simply healthier. They lived longer than people who ate the traditional Western diet. Unfortunately, then and even today, economics still take priority over science or people's well-being. And this has kept the focus on cures and treatments versus prevention. Conventional drug-oriented medicine may help us live longer, but will it help us live better? And think about that for just a moment. Think about the quality of life that you have. And so we know what it's like to be isolated, isolated with illness, and to experience that reduction in quality of life. Because when you're sick, when you're really sick, nothing else matters. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter who you know. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter who you are. When you're really sick, are you able to live? Are you able to live life? So how would you like to live life better is kind of what we're responsible for ourselves. You want to learn the basics of building health through nutrition. And this is why this webinar is so important. Learning about the basics about building and maintaining health through nutrition can have amazing, life-changing results. And just the fact that we're sitting here. I'm sorry.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
That we're just sitting here.
I didn't even hear you. I don't think they heard you. Okay. But the fact is that your doctor is just unlikely to be able to help you on this topic. We found some good doctors who are very nutritionally oriented, but most doctors really, they're not trained. That's not their specialty. And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. We're not saying that they're doing anything wrong. When you think about it, nutrition is a massive subject. You could easily take years trying to study the many facets of it, but you may not have time to wait that long. The critically important information in this webinar series will give you a core understanding of what you need to know about vitamins and supplementation. This will enable you to become proactive about preserving the health you have. In our case, our goal is to attain and maintain our best health possible.
Yeah.
That's going to be different for everybody.
The optimal.
Yeah, your mileage may vary. I mean, your goals are going to be different. But this webinar speaks to everybody, regardless of where you are on that activity scale. So here are some important points to keep in mind. Drugs and surgery alone don't cure the diseases that kill most Americans. Did you have a question or a statement? No. Okay. Your body can repair and renew its cells almost perfectly if given the nutrients it needs to do so. The building blocks that Ann was talking about, the fuel. Okay, our bodies are designed. Our bodies want to live, and they want to live right.
Absolutely.
And they want us to be happy. It's kind of like I gotta give a little story here. When she's like, oh no, there he goes down another rabbit hole. When I was learning to fly, a little two-seat
in an
airplane, a four-seater Cessna high-wing aircraft, little plane. Well, these planes, I know a lot of people are afraid of them. They go, oh, how does that thing stay up there? Well, it actually stays up there very easily. It's designed to fly itself. You have to take off, but once you get up to altitude, set your little trim there, you set your flight configuration, and the plane wants to fly straight and level. You can take your hands off the yoke, sit back and relax, because the plane wants to just fly itself.
Are you yoking?
And the yoke is on me. And
I'm not a little plane person.
And that's how she hates the scary. So that's how I see the body. The body wants to be healthy, and sometimes things happen. Sometimes things get in the way, a disease, an injury, an illness. And these are the things that sidetrack us. Genes alone do not determine disease on their own. Okay, we'll talk more about that. So let's go into Dr. Ray Strand. He's the author of the book, What Your Doctor Doesn't Know About Nutritional Medicine May Be Killing You. He used to curl his toes when his patients would ask if they should be taking nutritional supplements. So he'd used all the patented answers in the past, like, oh, they're just snake oil, vitamins make expensive urine. You can get all the required nutrients by eating the right foods. Well, if his patients persisted, he told them nutritional supplements probably would not hurt them, but they should take the cheapest ones they could find, because vitamins most likely wouldn't help much either. This is a doctor's advice. Does this sound familiar? Maybe you've heard some of these same comments from your physician. I wanted to take a poll. Has your doctor or medical professional ever told you vitamins were not effective? So enter your answer into the poll, and we'll publish the results later. For the first 23 years of his clinical practice, he simply did not believe in nutritional supplements. After several years, however, he has reconsidered his position based on recent studies published in the medical literature. What he found was so astonishing, he's changed the course of his medical practice. You could say he's converted. Why aren't more doctors responding this way? Well, to start, a physician needs to be skeptical in order to protect their patients against any schemes or products that could be harmful to their health. I love this about doctors. A good doctor will be skeptical. I honor and respect that in a doctor. We don't want to set up a wall with no windows and no doors where that skepticism, stops. We want to be able to move a little bit beyond it at times when needed. So another important reason is physicians must rely on scientific research studies conducted through double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trials. This is the gold standard in clinical medicine. And why? What is a double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial? It's simply the most effective evidence available that something works. And when it's published in a peer-reviewed medical journal, this is what doctors look to see how something works, if something works. What does the evidence suggest before they prescribe it to you or suggest it to you? So Many physicians seem content to allow the pharmaceutical companies to determine new therapies as they develop new drugs. But it is our own bodies, as we found out, that are the best defense against developing disease, not drugs. The unfortunate reality is that public health is notoriously unprofitable. Corporations, people don't make a lot of money preventing disease.
Wow, isn't that sad?
Yeah. Again, we have a for-profit disease care system. That's what we're living in right now. And
think how much more productivity there would be if people were well. The amount of money that is spent on people not being able to work because they aren't well, it's bewildering to me. But anyway, I'm sorry.
So imagine.
Let Jeff just speed along here.
Imagine if a lot of the money that's invested, in researching cures could be redirected. Some of it could be redirected towards preventing disease. Well, we don't see that happening, so we're here.
It's us.
We're here to help with that. Companies make a profit through medicine, through treating critical advanced stages of disease. If you know anyone who has had a cancer and gone through chemotherapy, radiation therapy, it's big bucks. Let's face it, it's big bucks. Now, if drugs aren't the solution, what is? Well, when Dr. Strand's wife became chronically ill with what they later learned was fibromyalgia, he became frustrated. See, he was a doctor, yet he couldn't help his own wife. He became just another husband looking on helplessly as his wife wasted away. When his wife's friend brought a collection of vitamin supplements to their house the next day, nutrients like vitamin E, vitamin C, beta-carotene that protect the body against the harmful effects of oxidation, his wife Liz eagerly swallowed them, downed a few health drinks as well, and to the doctor's amazement, within 3 days, it was obvious she was better. Now, he was happy for her, but a little confused. Now, as subsequent days passed, Liz gained more energy and strength, and she even stayed up later in the evenings. After 3 weeks of faithfully swallowing many pills and consuming those strange-looking drinks, Liz felt so good that she stopped taking the steroids and nebulizer treatments, the tools that the doctor prescribes. 3 months passed, all bringing gradual improvement, and his wife, Liz, never looked back. So what happened? Because Dr. Strand was truly dumbfounded. If he had not been an eyewitness to that transformation, he simply wouldn't have believed it. I mean, how could it be that some weird vitamins had restored his wife's health when all the medical expertise and medications could not help? Now, let me stop here and just say, we're not saying vitamins are going to cure fibromyalgia.
No.
Do not hear that, please. We're not saying that. Vitamins are not a cure, okay, for
anything
really. I mean, we're talking about prevention. We're talking about attaining and maintaining your optimal health, given the parameters of your body and your experience.
Also, as Jeff mentioned a little while ago, there's so much to learn, and that's why we're here to help try to get this down into bite-sized pieces for you all. No pun intended. Because it's taking things that are going to synergetically work together to provide the fuel that the body needs. So what happened to Dr. Strand's wife was amazing. But if you have fibromyalgia, I wouldn't suggest that you just run out and start taking a bunch of vitamins.
No.
No.
Don't do that.
And what they kind of left out was But I'm sure this person that gave them the information and then thusly gave her the supplements gave them to her so that they all worked together, so that they made a strong fuel to help her own body correct some of the things that were going on.
Exactly.
And and I just want to go back to Dr. Strand for a minute. Just real quickly, it reminded me of my brother when I first got ill. My brother was quite a bit older than me, and he was terribly concerned, and I can understand, goodness, anytime that there's a doctor and their family member gets ill or diagnosed with something upsetting, it's extremely hard on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just get these envelopes with clippings from magazines like the AMA, the American Medical Association review, and I would just get these clippings about what it was that they were looking at in me, but there wasn't really any information. But he was trying so hard in his own way.
Mm-hmm.
I think I kind of quit reading them when he sent the one envelope that said that the most prominent effect of this condition was sudden death. And I thought, okay, I think I'm not going to read anymore. But that was the doctor's clinical information that they had. Nothing in all of these wonderful magazine articles and clinical studies he sent me. Sometimes he sent me pages and pages of them. Not once did it mention anything about diet or.
He
tried so hard.
And most doctors just simply, they're not given the tools. They're not given the training and the tools to resolve these things. So
let us move along. I'm sorry.
Thank you. So Dr. Strand was skeptical, and he decided to run his own clinical trial. He was what we call optimistically cautious. So he went through his records and he found 5 of his worst fibro patients, and he asked them to visit his office. He shared Liz's story with all of them and suggested they consider taking nutritional supplements. He told each patient he had no idea whether this alternative treatment would help, but it was worth a try. So a fibro sufferer that has been suffering in pain, invisible to the rest of the world, for decades, it can become very frustrated. It's easy to get down because nothing seems to work. But here was a case where a doctor said, this worked for my wife. So each of these 5 patients were very eager to try whatever had worked for his wife. Now, after a period of time ranging from 3 to 6 months, without exception, each patient reported improvement after taking vitamin supplements. Again, I want to emphasize that don't do what I did when I first got sick. I just went out and bought lots of vitamins. Started downing lots of vitamins. I read what I could.
All vitamins are not the same.
All vitamins are not created equal, and that's something we'll talk about in this series. So again, now he's got other people who are feeling better, so he began to do research on supplementation. He was still optimistically cautious, but he came across Dr. Kenneth Cooper's book, The Antioxidant Revolution, where Dr. Cooper explained a process called oxidative stress. Now, he indicated that oxidative stress was the underlying cause of many chronic degenerative diseases. So Dr. Strand dove into the book. Here's some of what he learned. Excuse me. When you understand the tremendous damage that oxidative stress inflicts during normal daily life on the human body, you realize how important it is to optimize your own natural defense system, because your health and your life depend on it. Through his research, he learned that the strongest defense against these diseases is our body's own natural antioxidant and immune systems. These are far superior to any drugs that he could prescribe. He concluded after much study that using nutritional supplementation on patients is not, in fact, alternative treatment, but instead is complementary medicine. And I want to emphasize that that's how we see it. We see nutritional supplementation as complementary to what your doctor is doing. So don't just take what we say, don't believe every word we say, but don't necessarily believe every word your doctor says. Just understand that these two fields complement each other.
They certainly can. You know, I mean, there are times when doctors become very hard about it, and they say, no, you can't do it, you can't take it, you can't, I don't want you taking anything, etc., other than what I prescribe for you, etc. And that's not good either. So you have to, again, it's about what this information that we have to share for you. So moving along.
So nutritional supplements are not about eradicating disease. I want to set that expectation right now, because a lot of people think, oh, well, if I just take a daily multivitamin, I'll be fine. Or if I get sick, I'll take some vitamin C and echinacea. No. It's like that's the expectation of the pharmaceutical industry, of prescription medicine, where you get sick and you take something for it. We're talking about promoting vibrant health. So Dr. Strand now strongly believes that there are significant health benefits in taking high quality nutritional supplements, even if you're in excellent health. And I want to stress here, high quality. Put simply, the basic health benefits of nutritional supplements are an enhanced immune system, an enhanced antioxidant defense system, a decreased risk of coronary artery disease, stroke, cancer, arthritis, and many other chronic illnesses that are affecting Americans today.
Exactly.
Part of the reason he changed his mind is the poor quality of our diet. Let's take a look at that. As Dr. Strand reflected on his first years in medical practice, he clearly remembered his own bias against nutritional supplements. He even remembers telling his patients that they could get everything they needed from their food if they would just eat a healthy diet. What is a healthy diet? Do you really know what a healthy diet is? We think we do. Again, this is something that Ann and I had learned we didn't know. We didn't know. But now we know, So here's the shocking statistics that made him realize the need for supplementation. Approximately 40% of our calories in the typical American diet come from fat. And that's not the good fat we're talking. We're talking saturated fat, okay? 17% of the population don't eat any vegetables. Only 10% of the population met the USDA guideline of eating a minimum of 5 servings of fruit and vegetables a day.
5 servings? Am I supposed to have 5 servings?
5 servings. Do you eat 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day?
Wow, that's a lot, isn't it? I'm just kidding, because when you look at it, it really is. How many, literally, just stop and think a minute, how many of you eat 5 servings of fruits and vegetables per day? Okay, so that's what we're talking about. So, your fuel, if you're not doing that, and you're not doing other things too, but your fuel's got like maybe watered down a little bit. I'm sorry.
Is that the international symbol for fuel?
Fuel.
Fuel.
Okay.
Pac-Man. Okay, so we want to touch upon.
Sorry, we're being silly.
We're always silly. Silly's good. Silly is actually, Reader's Digest used to have that section, laughter is the best medicine.
It is.
You need a sense of humor, especially when you get sick.
Or even when you're feeling good, it'll keep you healthy.
Yeah, well, I just brought that down, didn't I? Okay. So I want to address another issue here. It can actually be said, based on the evidence, that most of us today are suffering from a certain dangerous diet deficiencies. And it's because the soils are depleted of minerals. And, the food that comes from these soils don't contain the proper mineral balance. Mm-hmm. So we're starving no matter how much we eat. If you're eating a larger volume of greens, for example, fruits, vegetables, grains, they're now being raised on millions of acres of factory farmland that no longer contain enough of certain minerals. And they're not being replaced by the chemical fertilizers. Let's be clear about that. Plants cannot create minerals. They must absorb them from the soil. And if our soils do not have these minerals, the plants won't either. It's just a fact that our food is significantly deficient in vital nutrients. This is why not only eating as healthy a diet as possible makes sense, but so does supplementing your diet with nutritional supplements. So when we say eating a healthy diet, one thing that we've introduced more of in our lives, and we're not fanatics by any stretch. There are people who are going to be much better at organic food, for example. We've introduced a lot of organic foods. We choose organic when we can. But we're not 100% organic. Eat as healthy as a diet as you can, and try to stay away from some of those factory farmed foods when you have the option. And regardless, whether you're eating organically or not, whether you're a vegan, a vegetarian or not, supplementing your diet with nutritional supplements becomes critical in today's world. So let's review what you want to look for in a high quality supplement. Vitamins need to be enteric coated. Anything we consume by mouth goes through a rigorous and harsh digestive process. So when you subject the essential compounds contained in multivitamins to that condition, to the condition of the stomach acid, they're rendered useless and ineffective. Nutrient factors should be coated in a hard, unbreakable shell called enteric coating to keep them nicely contained and undissolved through that acid bath of the stomach. The coating needs to keep the nutrients safe to be released only where they're best absorbed in the small intestines. The final product of a vitamin manufacturer, not just the raw materials that they use to make that vitamin or mineral supplement, has to be scientifically tested and approved. Actual testing of the finished product is the most crucial part of clinical testing. This allows a manufacturer to evaluate if the vitamins and its components actually work as a whole. It's also the most expensive part. To do this, companies need to go through protocols. They also need the results studied and published by scientific and scholastic journals, what we call peer-reviewed journals, for their results to be considered as substantial. Because if their clinical trials aren't accepted by the most credible doctors in that particular field, then it just amounts to little more than marketing hype. It's just a vitamin company saying, oh, take our supplement. It does these great things and we've proven it. But no one's agreeing with them. It's just they're standing on a podium and shouting it, hoping you'll believe them. The sad thing is that many supplement manufacturers may, in fact, test the raw materials individually, but not the actual finished product. And they also do their own backyard testing with their own chemists and pharmacists, and sometimes they're just wearing a white lab coat, and they're not really qualified. But even if they are qualified, oftentimes they'll borrow from previously established studies. So in other words, they won't do original research themselves on their own supplement. They'll draw from studies that other sources have published, and they'll refer to these. Imagine how prone to bias that is. But do you know why thousands of companies can get away with this? It's because supplements are not regulated by the FDA. Let me say that again. In case you didn't know, supplements are not regulated by the FDA. The Food and Drug Administration, well, that's a spelling error there, a typo. The Food and Drug Administration regulates, if they regulated supplements, I'm sorry, threw me. Spelling mistakes throw me. What can I say? Just
Not me.
My train of thought goes right off the track. So we'll get that fixed. It would be easier if they did regulate it. It'd be easier to separate the good from the bad, and the synthetic vitamins from the natural. So I want to reveal some information that vitamin manufacturers and some drug companies don't want you to know. Most people aren't aware of it, but the ingredients of most vitamins and supplements are produced with little or no supervision. And this is even more true today with the downsized, understaffed government and little or no supervision. How do you know what you're getting? How do you really know what you're getting? You have no guarantee about the purity or quality of the raw ingredients. So you may be wondering, where do I find a product that is guaranteed, that uses that gold standard research, the double-blind, placebo-controlled, peer-reviewed clinical trials, and fits those stringent standards? Well, we were wondering that too, and we went through a lot of trial and error, spent a lot of money, thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I probably have a lot of stock. I could probably own a lot of stock in a lot of health food stores.
Health food stores, online, you name it.
Anyway, go ahead.
We tried it all. But we're happy to report that there is a natural line of nutritional supplements that fits this criteria. It's made by a company called Shaklee. There was, in fact, a Dr. Shaklee. There he is in the center, surrounded by two of his sons. Shaklee is, we have found it is just an incredible company. Dr. Shaklee created the first commercially marketed multivitamin as a food supplement over 100 years ago. I mean, he's the guy. Okay, he's the dude. When you say today, we say, well, I need to get B1, B2 vitamin, B5. I need to get my niacin, whatever. He was one of those original researchers that identified these vitamin substances out of food as they were testing different foods, and they came up with a B vitamin. And then in rapid succession, they discovered other forms of B vitamins. So rather than give them all different names or different letters, they just would append a number. So that's how you get the B1, B2, B3, B4, all the way up to B12. I think it goes higher than that. I don't know it, but it does go higher than that. They were scientifically studying what's the value of food. Okay, what foods, give us these vitamins.
I think the important thing there
Yeah, because I went off track.
is no, you didn't. You kept saying exactly the right thing. Food. He was using food to extract the vitamins from. Okay? So it's a food supplement. We're not talking. So a lot of people say, oh, I got to pick up some vitamins at the drugstore or CVS or Costco or Sam's Club or something like that. Those are synthetically produced vitamins. This is a vitamin that is produced from food. It's a supplement.
So Shaklee also puts their products through, and this is what really got my attention. They put their products through an incredibly stringent screening process that surpasses even the pharmaceutical standards of the United States Pharmacopoeia, a standards agency. So
can I?
Yes, jump in.
Okay, quick. I know we're running a little late. Thank you all for staying with us. We're so excited about this. But I have a little story here. One night, Jeff and I were at Jeffrey and I were at a little get together for some friends that were here from out of the country, and we were talking and met this guy, and so asked, what do you do, etc. And so it comes down to that he is a supplier of vitamins to major vitamin companies. Okay, and so when he asked what we did, we said, oh, well, we are in the health and wellness field, and we
mentioned Shaklee.
We have our own
yeah.
line of vitamins that we encourage people to try and use. And he went, oh, Shaklee wouldn't even let me in their door. Because just as that thing that Jeff showed you a little bit ago of all these pills, these things, there's just different companies coming to these people, and they slap their label on it. And I'm not going to call out any names. This one and this one. He said major vitamin companies. Mm-hmm. This one has this one. So he sells the same vitamin to different vitamin companies. And I was just like, okay. And I think this happened actually several years ago, right after Jeffrey and I started our business. And it was like a light bulb. I was like, of course Shaklee didn't let you in.
Yes.
They don't want anything that comes through a process that is not
natural
or even
and unique. These are patented.
They're just. Who
in other
knows
words,
what they are?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry.
One of the things that Shaklee guarantees is the purity. They go through the testing, and they can't do that if they purchase wholesale, from some unknown provider.
Okay.
So let's talk about.
Let's move along. I'm sorry.
And we're not going to go into great detail. Again, this is not a commercial for purchasing. We're not. This isn't about a transaction for purchasing. We want to talk about, just introduce you to some of the things that we have found helpful, because we get asked, well, what do you do? What works for you? So we'll just highlight that for you. Here's 3 of Shaklee's foundation regimens for you to do more research on: the Vitalizing Plan, the Life Plan, and the Essentials Plan. So let's start with Shaklee's premier supplement pack. This is the Shaklee Life Plan. It truly is the best, most comprehensive nutritional system in the world. So basically it's 30 days of life energizing shake, and you'll see a little life strip there. It's a little bubble wrap strip of daily vitamins you take once in the morning. So let's start with the shake, the Life Plan shake first. It contains loads of high quality protein, 16 grams of ultra pure, plant-based, non-GMO protein. And we'll talk about protein more in session 2, but briefly, if you just take a bunch of vitamins, that's not going to help your cells at the cellular level rebuild themselves. Cells need protein. Protein comes from the Greek word proteus, which means to take first place. It's the first thing your cells need to regenerate.
So there's two things that our bodies must have, and all the time, just absolutely all the time, and that's water and protein.
That's why, if somebody comes to you and says, "Oh, you just take, 17 of these different vitamins." No, that's not the big picture. So that's why we encourage you, do your due diligence. Now, the shake also has a precise ratio of 9 essential amino acids that you're going to require to ensure you get a complete protein. If you don't have the amino acids, you can take all the protein in the world. Your body's not going to utilize it.
Oh, there was a word there.
Where?
In that sentence, it said essential amino acids. Okay. Now, we're going to be talking more about this later, but I want everybody to remember that essential means one thing. Your body does not produce them. So you have to get them from your protein. Okay?
And by the way, that big burger we showed a little bit earlier, that saturated fat, I used to think, well, I used to be a junk food junkie, so I thought, well, I eat lots of protein. I have meat on my pizza. I have hamburgers. Lots of protein. Look, if you're not, that's dead. That is dead stuff. It is, it's horrible. You're not going to get the amino acids that you need. Is there a cat?
Yeah, we have our friend.
There's a cat.
Okay, let's move on.
So finding a non-GMO formulation
Here she
is very difficult. Even if an FDA scientist has come out, to question the use of genetically modified foods. So this is just another reason I believe in Shaklee's Life Shake. They don't buckle under and use GMO protein like so many others. It can also help you manage your weight. If you've seen my webinar on weight loss and weight management, Shaklee has built on what they've learned with their 180 weight management shake and made the smart decision to add the amino acid leucine to these life shakes. Leucine is what helps you lose inches while preserving lean muscle. It also helps you achieve a healthier weight. Why that became important to me is with a chronic illness, exercise isn't an option. It's not happening. I wouldn't want to join a gym anyway, and I'm not a runner per se, but
unless something's after you.
Unless somebody's chasing me. But
okay.
I was off the tracks. What? So if you want to lose weight, but you can't exercise, then what do? Well, I found these products contain leucine, which helped me maintain muscle, and muscle is what burns more calories than fat. Muscle is what helps you keep your weight stable. Anyway, the Life Shake can also provide digestive and immune support. It even includes pre and probiotics. So unlike any other shake on the market, Shaklee scientists added a patented, let me say that again, Shaklee scientists. These are real scientists. What is there? There's a department, it's well over 100 researchers, scientists, real smart people. They added a patented pre and probiotic into their Life Shake formulation. So it gives you 1 billion micro units of probiotics to support your digestive and immune health. Unfortunately, most of our diets don't have enough of the types of food that build a healthy gut flora. The formation that Shaklee put into the Life Shake is 5 times more effective in populating the bowel with healthy microbes than taking lactobacillus or bacillus bacteria or bifidobacterium alone. Because you can get all those supplements off the shelf. But the Life Shake can also increase cardio and cognitive health. It includes omega-3 fatty acids. So if that wasn't enough, the shake also has ALA, alpha-linoleic acid. I think I'm saying that right, alpha-linoleic. That's how I say it. Which is part of the essential omega-3 family. They have a soy version and a non-soy version. In the non-soy, they source that ALA from a new protein called sacha inchi from the upper Amazon in Peru. That contains the omega-3 naturally. The soy blend gets its ALA from flax seed. And it's not just what's in it that matters, it's what's not in it that's also important. Okay, of course, it's gluten-free, it's lactose-free, but it has no artificial flavors, artificial sweeteners, no chemical preservatives. And it's low glycemic, so it's not going to spike your blood sugar. And it's kosher. Oi, I'm sorry, I can do the voice. I'm not Jewish. I'm Catholic. That's Jewish light. I'm sorry, I've gone off track. Let's talk about one of our favorite doctors, Dr. Richard Brous. He's a chiropractor from Oregon. He uses Shaklee Life Shake to help his patients. And he calls it more than just a protein because it's so well balanced. He calls it a supplemental ration. Now, he has patients recovering from cancer. And it's the only thing they can handle. It stays down. It's fulfilling, and it meets their needs nutritionally, and it tastes great too. Then there's the Life Strip. Now, every Life Strip delivers pure and potent vitamins, minerals, omega-3 fatty acids, polyphenols, antioxidants, and phytonutrients to help create a foundation for a longer, healthier life. Now, it's okay if you're not familiar with any of these terms. First time I saw polyphenol, I thought it was something out of a Monty Python skit. Polyphenol, hello, poly. So that's how much I knew. Here's a quick overview of what's in each strip. You're going to get, and we'll go into these. I encourage you to. We'll give you a link at the end where you can go do more research. But Vivix liquid gels, they're the ones with the polyphenols. Polyphenols. And Omega Guard has the omega-3s for heart and brain health. Vitalia, this is Shaklee's multivitamin, and that offers complete nutrition and joint health, supplements for joint health. And then B and C complex for immune health and energy. Let's stop here and get serious for a moment. This, if you take away nothing else from this webinar series, tonight's session, which is running long, I apologize, and the next 3 sessions, if you take away nothing else, this is the difference. Well, how do I know you're not just selling Shaklee? Well, when you come from where we're coming from, and you've tried off-the-shelf things, you've tried what friends and family have recommended, you've tried what doctors on TV have promoted, you've done your own research to the best of your ability.
You've been from doctor to doctor to doctor to every specialist in the world.
And nothing has really worked. Well, that's when you look to science. And that's when I discovered that there is a vitamin company, a supplement company, that backs up everything they make with proven science, those double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trials that have been published in peer-reviewed medical journals. In other words, there's evidence that these supplements help, that they work. Do you know if your vitamin works? How do you know? Because the vitamin manufacturer tells you it does?
The label's pretty.
The label's pretty. That's not good enough for me. I've been down that road. I only want to try something that has gone through rigorous scientific study. That brings us to what's called the landmark study.
So one other thing I just wanted to say real quickly before we go into the landmark study, which is just phenomenal. Have you ever thought that you go into places and there's this shelves and shelves of supplements, vitamins, whatever you want to call them, and you look at them and look at them and look at them, and you just finally go, okay, kind of eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and I think I'll pick this one. And all like that. Or you go to a health food store, and the person that's helping you is a young person that's working there in high school. He's in high school, and he's got a after-school job. What's his job? His job is to sell you some vitamins. And you say, well, what do you think is the best for this? So you have
you're inundated with information
and uneducated, either in big stores where you just pick them off the shelf and you run through the line. The lady who's checking you out isn't going to say, hey, this vitamin doesn't work, or have you heard about this vitamin, or anything like that. Yeah. And the person and not picking on health food stores, I love them.
Oh no, and we go to health food stores.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that their job there is not to educate. Their job there is to sell. Okay?
Right. So the landmark study, and this is something that made a huge difference for me, because I found when there's no independent third party, when the government or there's not some credible organization that is holding these unregulated companies to account, I was so excited when I came across a company that holds itself to those standards. So this landmark study, UC Berkeley conducted one of the largest studies of long-term supplementation and found that Shaklee supplement users had markedly better health than non-supplement users. In other words, Shaklee supplements helped people live healthier. How do you know this? Well, there are certain key biomarkers that they measured for, I don't even remember how many people were in the study. I have to look that up again. But cardiovascular health is measured in part with cholesterol ratios. Shaklee supplement users had 11% lower cholesterol ratios. That's better, healthier. A critical biomarker for heart health, triglycerides, 33% lower. That's healthier in Shaklee users. An indicator of brain and cognitive health called homocysteine, 36% lower. Okay, in other words, 36% better brain health, better cognitive health. And a key biomarker for long-term biological stress, C-reactive protein, 59% lower. These are significant.
All of them, yes.
So let's wrap it up for today. If you want to learn more about the Vitalizing Plan, Life Plan, the Essentials Plan, you can visit our online shop. It's where we buy our vitamins and supplements, and we'll share that with you now. Let me just say this, because I know that there are some people, there's still some skeptics out there, and in fact, I was Well, I'm gonna say it because it sticks in my craw, man. There's a Facebook group I'm in, and it's closed. It's only for people with disabling chronic illness, and they don't know about this webinar because I wasn't allowed to tell them about it.
Right.
Because it's assumed, not because it's not because
Truth.
people have looked it up or talked to us or really know that they don't know what they don't know, but it's assumed that, oh, well, you're in one of those things and you're just trying to sell. Look, you can buy Shaklee supplements. Let me be very clear. You can buy Shaklee supplements from Shaklee directly. You don't have to buy them through us. You can buy them through, there's over 1.5 million distributors in Shaklee. We became product users first and then distributors. But if you like Shaklee, you can buy it from 1 million other people. Or you can buy it from our website. So this is not about us trying to separate you from your money. This is about us sharing authentically what's true for us, what we've found, and why we're excited about this. So let me quickly give you the...
And we'd love for you to buy from us because we provide training and information. And,
right.
you know, so
we'll work with you. Like, you know, a lot of people will just, again, they'll just say, here, take these, or, you know, this is good for you. Well, if you're chronically ill, more is not better. You need to start off very slow. And so we would work with you regarding that. Let me show you, where is it? Oh, well, here it is. I think I'm already there. Here you go. All right, so this is, if you go to myjeffreyjones.myshaklee.com, you can do a lot more research. This is through about each of those product lines that we talked about. Let me, I'm navigating here and my brain is having difficulty. So we encourage you to friend us on social media, join our Facebook group. If you're watching this live via live Facebook streaming live, you'll know it's Anna Jeffrey's Health and Wellness Group. We intend to be adding a lot more content over the coming months, weeks, months, years. We're going to be around. We're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. And how do you friend us? How do you find us? You can go to our hub site, myjeffreyjones.com. That's myjeffrey Jones.com. You can see our blogs, and you'll find ways to contact us, follow us. If you're watching this recording, if you're watching this from a recording and you want to ask questions or comments, that's where to go to. That's the best way to connect with us. So we encourage you to share with others what you like best. Post what you like best. I showed you the hub site. I don't want you to call us. No, I don't do well with the phone calls. If you do call, leave a message and we'll do our best to get back to you in a timely fashion. But the best way to reach us is through the hub site. In next week's session, you'll learn the importance of supplementing with protein and amino acids. We'll go into that more. We'll talk about the importance of a healthy gut flora for good digestion and better health. And we'll introduce something called telomeres. We'll talk about what they are and why they matter. And then we'll go into even more detail about Shaklee's Life Strip and why it is so unique and so special. I promise.
Guys. Yay!
I promise, if you stuck with us to the end, you get a free gift. Now, I'm going to give you the link to download this free ebook. It's a wonderful, a lot more information than we were able to provide here. And here it is.
And we don't have, and it doesn't have all of our stories.
No, it doesn't have our great stories, and it's not silly at all.
No.
And we're silly. Oh gosh, yeah, I didn't realize it was going to be. Okay, what I'll do is I'll paste this in the comments below, but it's https://www.yourfreedomproject.com/ebook /view YWYD, what your doctor. So VIEWYD /95/0. Did I get that right? Yeah, okay. I'll paste that. You don't have to remember all that. I apologize. I didn't make that shorter for you. But go to that link and you'll be able to view and download this great information. Now, this is going to take you through all 4 of our courses, but I encourage you to come back next week. We look forward to seeing you next week. We recognize that your time is valuable, and we appreciate you spending a little bit of it with us today.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
Bye for now.